Welcome to this spiritual sharing. Having so much enjoyed taking a service in Bath, England, once again, a service which had a reading and an address, I have decided to create these spiritual sharings, perhaps one a month, maybe slightly less, maybe slightly more, because I'm going to work in the way in which I feel inspired to work. I have just finished reading a book entitled Working with the Truth, which is written by Murray Nick Nichols, always known as Nick. This book is available, or rather the text of the book is available as a free PDF download from Soul Voyagers Network. So if you would like to receive this completely free of charge, just enter Soul Voyagers Network into a Google search and then follow things from there. On the right hand side, you will see reference made to Working with the Truth by Nick Nichols. The piece I would like to share with you is entitled From the Deepest Realms. I am the spirit of truth and light. I ring in your ears. I ring in the night. I glide the heavens beyond your sight. The spirit ever working right within the realms so close and tight. We each vibrate, which is our right, to dwell in realms beyond the sight of those in other realms at night. Yet dreams become our way to speak to those in other realms that sleep and anchor in their memory deep the light for which they search and keep a memory in their hearts so deep. Beyond this realm they cannot speak, and as we dream, we each will find we have a depth of truth divine. This is a realm of deep creation, beyond what is imagination. That power of all, of those who dream, to bring the truth upon their scene. The realm in which you dream is small, and in no way could you recall all of the realms beyond your space, that has no body, has no face. Whatever thought that will create all realms beyond the hidden gate. So take these truths into your mind and know that you will always find response to questions in your heart. Remember, you are always part of that eternal realm above, which speaks to you in terms of love, and always will be by your side as teacher, healer, spirit guide. We thank you for listening. We thank you for hearing. We send love to all in your domain. May we soon together meet again. From the deepest realms, sleep, sleep, and be with us again. I'm just going to spend a minute in silence now, during which I suggest you just rest in peace, or perhaps send healing to those whom you know would like this at this time. That reading does indeed speak to me of deepest truth, but also of the deepest majesty within this our world, this our universe, the universe within which we live, within which we experience when we come here to live our earthly lives, to grow and to flow and to move towards truth in this place where at first it may seem as though truth can be difficult to find. It can seem as though we have to sift through many, many layers of information to arrive at that which in simplicity we call truth, that which we would call perfection, that which the spark of divinity within, that part of ourselves which belongs to eternity, is able to recognise as truth, is indeed a very precious thing. But I ask the question, is my truth the same as your truth? And is your truth the same as someone else's truth? Do we have the same experience of truth, of reality, of life, of love, of being, of moving through this mortal coil until we reach that place in eternity that some call infinity? Is the experience the same for each of us? I think one thing we would agree upon is that we all have a different experience, a different understanding of what to each of us the spiritual journey, the journey of evolution means, the journey from lower to higher, from denser to finer, that we all must make in our own way, in our own time. For I believe this was ordained eons of time in the past, that we each walk a pathway that operates as a simple thread within a tapestry, forming a greater pathway, a pathway which has vibrancy, colour, pattern and vibration. And each one of us here, we each have colour within our aura, within our spirit, vibrancy, and the pattern of the pathway which we walk. But that pattern which seems as but a stitch on the greater tapestry of life. And yet we know that each one is, if they wish, able to seek their higher truth. And seeking that higher truth is not dependent upon the circumstances in life in which we find ourselves, the part of the world in which we may live, or indeed those with whom we have the opportunity to come into contact. For within our hearts there is a field of information, which contains a great deal of wisdom, which contains the seed of knowing, the soul seed which knows how to evolve, how to take the next step and the step thereafter on that pathway which we agreed to take before we came to earth, to have those experiences which are right for the inner us. But when we came here, we kind of forgot what the plan was. And yet many of us, most of us, receive inklings, receive a kind of communication. Those moments when we are more awake, those moments when we are more awake, even though we are in sleep state, because we are in touch. We are in touch with divinity. Our spark of divinity, or soul seed, is in touch with that greater fire of divinity that guides all evolution forwards in accordance with a plan which it is beyond our scope to fully understand, and yet we may still grow in understanding and move towards that point of understanding, perhaps far in the future. And yet there are those times when our growth in understanding will be much faster, and those are the times when we are seeking. But we have to be awake to listen. Our higher consciousness has to be alert, and our higher consciousness often experiences its greatest state of alertness during that state which we in simplicity call sleep. We are able to do many things, to heal and receive our peace, to allow the brain and the body to discharge necessary stress, and once that has taken place, to be in touch with creativity, greater creativity, the creativity which is our own, and the creativity which belongs to the wider universe, but with a flow of communication, a conduit for information, operating between the two. How often is it that we come back from a beautiful, refreshing sleep, knowing something that we did not know before we went to sleep? And isn't it true how when our grandmothers told us to sleep on some difficulty or another, there was an inner wisdom which was at work, which was helping us to find that which we required, whether what we required was a great piece of inspiration, an idea, an image, or just a single thought which would illuminate in some way, or give us a new way of looking at a situation, which would either be helpful or be expansive. Because we know that sometimes in this life we must walk through the tempest. We must walk through those times of challenge, of difficulty, when it seems to us we can only see the next footstep ahead, or maybe not even that. But we know that if we ask, we shall receive. For there is a state of being in flow. There is a state of being in communication, which some people call the zone. But what is the zone? Is it not simply a vibrational bandwidth, a frequency, which puts us in touch with the wisdom that we need to receive? And I say need to receive, not necessarily want to receive. Because if we were able to receive everything that we wanted to receive, we would receive everything here and now, immediately, without challenge, without waiting, without growing, without always knowing the deeper pattern, without always knowing what our soul strives to know. So sometimes the challenge is what we need to receive, but a challenge which we experience as we walk a pathway, knowing that there is illumination and understanding and inspiration which wants to hold our hand as we walk, is indeed a very precious thing. Even though sometimes we will say, I don't know if I want to repeat that experience. Maybe if we truly learn from the experience, then that experience does not come again into our lives. If this is a learning experience, if the experience is simply an experience, such as going to the dentist, we know that that experience is just part of living life with a physical body. And we have to learn to get on with it. And yet if we struggle with this, we know that there are ways of working with levels of thought. I'm a hypnotherapist, and I know that there is much we can do that is helpful when people fear an everyday situation. And yet we also know that we can use the power of the Spirit. We can ask for support. We can ask for help. We can ask to be inspired with ways of thinking which will assist us if we truly desire to move forwards, to be the very best that we can. We know that we can reach into the deepest part of ourselves and connect with those deeper realms out there in the universe. Whether we use meditation, shamanic journeying, or the sleep state, or the inspiration of dreams, we can use all of these things. And all of these things are part of the human experience, which is there to support us on our life's journeys. But so very often we forget. And so very often people are not educated in how to use these tools. These tools which can sometimes seem as though they are cloaked in mystery, as though they are something in themselves with which we maybe should not feel comfortable. And yet they are part of the majesty, part of the magic of the universe in which we live, and part of the magic of the mind which flows through the brain, is pure consciousness, and pure consciousness has no limits. Pure consciousness is in communication with all other aspects of consciousness which operate within the same frequency or bandwidth. And so we have the capacity to travel using our consciousness in a way which is truly connected, in a way which is safe, a way which is inspiring, a way which allows that soul self or spark of divinity within to be in communication with the higher and greater self, the state of divinity, the power of creation that exists in all things, whether those things are the creatures of the earth itself, the plants which grow, the water or the sunlight or the starlight. It matters not. And it's important to remember that a rose is a thing of great beauty. The starlight is something of great beauty. The footsteps that we walk as we weave our patterns upon the earth are also things of great beauty, of great magnitude. And we should always try to remember this. To remember to follow the goodness within our own hearts, to walk that pathway which is taking us closest to that state which is the highest we can attain at this moment in time, as we strive to become warriors on the road to peace. And peace warriors are very precious people at this time in the evolution of our earth. For peace warriors are light workers, carrying within their being a higher vibration. But the more of us who are able to carry, are able to emanate, are able to reflect a higher vibration, then the greater the movement forwards into evolution, and the more help which can be given to those people, many of whom, through no choice of their own, operate in a lower state of vibration. One of the reasons why I say no choice of their own is because it is inevitable that a helpless, starving person, and unfortunately such people are all too many in this our world, will emanate a lower vibration which will not radiate very far, simply because their overriding concerns are purely of the material self. They are of the survival self. And of course, I hope that in my lifetime and in your lifetimes, we can all look forwards to a time on earth where it is considered more important to feed the starving than it is to send people to the moon, to design paradigms of peace than it is to design the weapons of war, to design paradigms for co-creation so that we can not only live peacefully together, but we can live in ways which will help us to flourish and nourish the spirits that are within us, so that beauty may become more manifest upon the earth in a greater way, in a stronger way. How would it be if each of us were to hold in our minds whatever to us represented an image of beauty and perfection, an image of innocence, an image of wonder? The image which comes to mind right now for me is a white rose. But there are many possible images, and each one will experience something different. And I would like to leave you with food for thought, and to hold your image of perfect peace there within your mind, perhaps to envision that image of perfect peace whenever you next endeavour to fall asleep, and see how that influences your experiences in dream time, how that influences your experiences in the deeper realms of consciousness. My thoughts for your day, my friends.